So this is what I would like to submit to this gathering, where you're all looking at future, you're looking at manufacturing. So I'd like to wish you all the best. Let's plan and achieve it. Jai Hind.
And he'll be honored. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a big round of applause.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, first and foremost. And thanks, Mr. Manikam, for that enlightening speech on where we are. We can really put our collars up. I have come here to talk about building a safe tomorrow. What is safety all about? Before we get into that, a brief on what is lab group. We are in the business of providing connectivity and cabling solutions. Of course, a German company to begin with, but totally Indian as far as the Indian industry is concerned. A global player with presence in almost all the continents, 16 production sites, and innumerable sales offices close to the industry. We are a €1 billion company worldwide. Started activities in India about 12 years ago. In addition to the safety issues in all, what we have come here to talk about is about the electrical installations, but because that's where we are in terms of our own business. It's a matter of serious concern that 15 to 20% of accidents which take place because of failure of electrical equipment, especially the insulating, the cables as we call it. And these fire mishaps caused by short circuits can be primarily attributed to usage of poor quality components, raw materials, primarily the insulation. The consequences can be disastrous. These are disturbing pictures, but these are taken very recently in some of the accidents which takes place, specifically the one in Bangalore where it was an office space where there was fire. And if you see one of the pictures here, people are trying to jump out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is serious. This may be discomforting, but this is serious. We are talking about safety of human beings, safety of equipment, and safety of everything around us. We have been propagating this idea of what can happen, and we have been seeing that these are happening. I'm glad that a lot of customers appreciate this and they are looking at what solutions to provide. Some of the suggestions that we have. What happens when a fire takes place? You take an installation, you take a office complex, or you take any commercial place like a multiplex. You are entering into a zone where you can be trapped. You can be trapped because of a fire caused by an electrical short circuit. I'm not just trying to frighten you people, but this is a fact which is happening. What happens when there is a fire? The smoke that is generated is what causes all the damage. We use predominantly polyvinyl chloride, or PVC is used for this insulating material, which is a very effective insulating medium, but it has its flip side. When there is a fire, PVC catches, starts burning, and the halogens present there react with oxygen and create very, very toxic fumes, poisonous fumes, which when inhaled by people can really be dangerous to life and also to electronic components. The major issues here are related to generation of corrosive acids and high smoke density, which impairs vision. The picture that you saw some slides ago was truly a reflection of this situation, because what really happened, I happened to go to the site, and what really happened was that people started panicking because they did not know how to get out. And the people jumped. One lady was seen jumping from the tower. What we would recommend is, please go for good quality of cables, but the latest technology in this is to not use PVC but go for product which is more popularly commercially known as halogen-free compound, and these halogens are, we all know what halogens are. Basically, there is the combination of the components fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. The chlorine is largely present in PVC, which is what when it catches fire reacts with oxygen to generate toxic fumes. The intention in a halogen-free compound is to reduce the presence of these halogens. As the name suggests, it's totally halogen-free, and there are standards which specify tests. Unfortunately, we still don't have an Indian standard for this, which means we are still way behind in terms of implementing this by a statute. But we don't require a statute for our safety. Safety is not an option. Halogen-free materials are available. It has been available for more than 10 years now. In fact, as early as in the beginning of this millennium, we had a few customers who demanded and asked for this, and we installed these cables. I'm sure more and more of you will be looking for this in future. This is not of tomorrow, this is of today, this is of yesterday. The time is ticking. What lab does in this initiative? We introduced halogen-free cables almost in all our product range. Our product range, as you can see in our small display here, we have more than 50,000 different products for different applications. Each one of them can be supplied in the halogen-free version for the purpose of safety. Of course, there are installations where you don't require this, but predominantly areas where there is a influx of or presence of human beings, presence of lot of clutter of wires, it is important to build safety. We make single core wires for building wiring, for industrial wiring, all with halogen-free wire cables. Very regular used low voltage power and control cables with again halogen-free material used for building safety. Data cables which are predominantly used in your industry, which are again for communication purpose. Then the associated accessories like cable glands which are used along with the cables, which again come with halogen-free material. Some of the glands which are available in the market are really a big question mark on safety issues. Similarly, the protective conduits which are used along with cables. Cables have to be protected by conduits. That is what the conduit's function is. But then what happens is the conduit itself starts failing, and then the cable also gets exposed. It's important to have a good conduit with which can also serve the purpose of being safe. Then marking systems for cabling. As a whole, the lab group is a system supplier which offers complete safety in all products that we supply. We have our own sales office here, and if any of you are interested, we can pursue this matter. We are also in the Intech by way of our stall. Another initiative that we have done is opened up a PSG Lab Center for Excellence in Cable Technology. We work with the professors of PSG Institute of Technology to continuously improve and augment the syllabi for training the students on correct cabling, correct termination practices, because it's also known in the electrical installation. Many of you who are electrical engineers maintaining electrical installations know that majority of the accidents takes place because of terminations and improper cabling. We also train them young. The students go through a continuous process of training on safety aspects as well as correct termination and cabling aspects. If you look at the initiatives that we have done in this institute with the help of the professors from PSG, we have been able to train, apart from the students, also a lot of practicing engineers from different industry. This is one of the first around the world for lab to have installed here, and it has been a very successful initiative for us in terms of a corporate social responsibility, also imparting training on safety and other aspects to the industry at large. We are in this pursuit of total safety. We seek your cooperation. What we showed you in terms of pictures are not to frighten you or threaten you, but this is reality. Safety is not an option. and it is not negotiable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I now request Shri K. Ilango, Joint Managing Director, RSM Autocast, to give a memento. Whole reason for this conclave, which is the Global Manufacture Class Division 2010. The positioning statement is
Shri Rajiv Vasan, who is the Vice President with Honda CL Cars India Limited. He has held several portions at the company, including Head of Purchase, Executive Advisor of Honda R&D Asia Pacific, Purchase Head of Honda Motor Company Japan. He has also held long stints at Tata Motors and Maruti Suzuki Limited. Shri Rajiv Vasan has been associated with automotive industry throughout his career and has experience in many areas like manufacturing, planning, quality improvement besides purchasing. He is BE Mechanical Engineering from Thapar Institute of Technology. He is also well versed with Japanese language.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and colleagues. Some of the colleagues from the auto industry are here. And thanks, Odisha, for providing me the opportunity to be here and speaking on this important topic. I'll try my best. Most of the things have been covered by the colleagues in some form or the other. It may be a repetition or it may be a package in a different slides or something. But I've tried to summarize it to the extent possible for me to do it. I hope I'll be able to give a snapshot of the challenges and the opportunities which are ahead of us in the auto component industry. I've divided my presentation into basically the five subheadings. What is the present situation, including the past story of the auto industry in India, and the present situation in the auto parts industry. Before that was Fiat, and this thing before 82 to 83, the whole thing started from the liberalization in 1991, and after that the whole industry was opened up, and that's where the growth has come after that. Of course, primarily the Maruti Suzuki, Tata and Hyundai have been the major drivers for the growth so far. That's the history basically as of today. If you look at just the close 5 years period, the compounded annual growth rate has been 19.2%. If you divide into various segments, A segment, which is primarily dominated by Suzuki's 800cc car, is more or less stagnant. The growth is coming primarily from B, B plus and C segments. That's the segment which is growing mainly in B and B plus segment. That's below 5 lakhs and above 3.5 lakhs. That's the scenario which is there in the industry today. Let's see the automotive industry trends in India. Of course, I have not plotted all the segments over here because diesel is not present in the A segment primarily. It's there in B segment. As for the fuel is concerned, diesel is showing an increasing trend, especially in B plus segment, C segment, as well as the lower D segment. So the options are increasing in diesel in the higher price category. That's the trend which is there basically, and these trends will continue to change, so that will be coming in the next few slides. This is just this competitive situation. These bubbles are based on the pricing positioning. I have not put the price over there, but one thing which is very clear, that the competition is increasing. The number of models, the variants which are available to the customer is increasing, and that's not only happening in the B or B plus segment, it's happening across the thing. So it's becoming a very competitive market. As you can see, this is the story in which we have only put couple of players in this market in B and B plus segment. As far as the development cycle is concerned, it was shown earlier also in some of the presentation, that earlier it was purely copy localization, focus was on localization. So till now in the past we have only global platforms, and we just got the drawings, we just made it over here, and there was no R&D effort involved by the Indian companies. So it was just copy localization. Slowly we have started moving to smaller R&D setups have been there. Suzuki has put up. Honda also has a very small R&D setup. Other companies are also having small R&D setups over here. And also, in the past, there were only global platforms. They were fine-tuned based on localization. As the volumes have grown, the India-centric models are coming. I'm not saying that models developed exclusively for India are coming. Some India-centric models are coming, which are taking into consideration the Indian infrastructure and the specific needs of the Indian customer. So that has started happening now. Let's look at the business environment. Everybody talked about emission. This is a story of how the emission regulation has been changing over the past couple of years. The government regulation, of course, we are behind Europe, but slowly over a period of time, progressively, India has been pushing the technology for the environmental friendly technologies, to be used in the automotive industry. So that's both for the diesel and the gasoline cars. As far as the other regulation is concerned, as far as taxation is concerned, India is typical. Other Asian countries are also typical in that sense. Basically, you can see that below 4 meter and below 1200 cc engines in the gasoline and the diesel, below 4 meter and below 1.5 liter engine, the taxation, there is a huge difference which is there. Basically, the government policies have been favoring the small car segment, especially in India. So that's the current situation. Of course, looking at the trading thing, initially, I went to Japan in 1984 for the first time. When I came, whatever little I bought from there, I had to pay import duty of 200%. Today, on everything, the duties have come down significantly, not only for the import, but for the exports also with other countries, like we have FTA with Thailand, we have FTA with Sri Lanka. We are discussing FTA with Japan, with Asian countries also under discussion. With Thailand, some components duty will be 0 over a period of time, some components duty will be at 5%. So, the foreign trade liberalization has also taken place, and it's going to expand with many countries over a period of time. Let's look at quickly a quick snapshot of the global business environment. This is what Mr. Manikam also talked of, that we had we have seen the recession. So this is the situation which happened after the Lehman Brothers shock. The sales in all the other countries like Japan, USA and Europe went down dramatically. Of course, China still continued to grow, and of course India we'll be discussing subsequently also. So Indian and Chinese market are still growing despite the recession in the global market. This is an interesting slide. Look at of course, some effect of demographics and some effect of environmental friendly technologies coming in, or the family is becoming smaller, or bachelors becoming more. Anyway, the ratio of the small cars is increasing, and today almost word over basis, in case we plot it, it stands last year it stood somewhere around 29.6%. Basically, the global customers, because of various reasons, because of demographics and because of cost factors, are favoring smaller cars. So smaller cars is upcoming segment across the world. This is a history of the exchange rate movement when we are doing global trade. Normally, if you plot it over a longer period of time, 20% exchange rate fluctuation is normal. Last couple of years, the exchange rate fluctuation, especially with respect to yen, has been dramatic. And even if it's gone down below this now, I think if you compare it to 2007, I think the fluctuation in yen is close to around 50%. So it was 120 yens to a dollar. Today it is 84 yens to a dollar. So it's close to around 50% of fluctuation. So that's the business environment in which we are moving. So because of the exchange rate risk, most of the companies today in the auto industry, despite the low volumes or high volumes, they are focusing more on localization to de-risk themselves from this kind of a foreign exchange fluctuation. So to summarize the whole situation, in India, so far the current situation is the volume have shown consistent growth. market has become competitive with the presence of all global players. I think India is one of the most competitive markets. I don't think so any country has so many auto players as number of players. Maybe they are assemblers or anything. No country has so many vehicle makers present, other than India. Maybe China, they are present to some extent. The competition in each market segment, as I told, I gave a snapshot of the B plus segment is increasing. The preference for diesel car is there, especially in the higher end cars. The government policies are favoring the small cars. The trade barriers are reduced with the lowering of the import duties and FTAs. Environment and safety regulations are becoming more stringent. As a global front, mature markets are showing a downward trend, increasing preference for small cars in the global front also. Exchange rate fluctuations have become more volatile. So, to sum it up, the business environment has become more competitive, volatile, ecology sensitive, boundaryless, and market is shifting towards the smaller cars. That's the summary of the current situation. What is the situation in the auto component industry? I've just not used so many slides over here. I've just tried to sum it up. In line with the growth in the auto industry, the component industry has also seen a growth of around 19.2% on a compounded annual growth rate if you look at last 7 years basically. So it's more or less matching with the growth in the car industry. But how this growth has become possible? It's purely due to the growth in the vehicle industry. Let's look at a little bit more. We analyzed it. We divided the whole component industry into 4 segments. Local companies with some kind of a technological agreement, minority JV companies in which the global players have some equity, or the majority JV companies or the subsidiary companies of the global companies over here. We picked up just, at random, generally high value components, 25 components, and plotted them on a scale of technology and value. This is purely data which was plotted based on the actual data. As the value goes up, as the technology goes up, the presence of pure local companies is very little. More or less, the pure local companies are getting pushed to low value, low technology segment. So that's the current situation. Maybe because of so many reasons, because the R&D is not being done